there's cursed islands ahead. This bodes badly. Oh, hello everybody, and welcome once again to Seacember here on Psitanium Mine. And hey, we're finally going to talk about a pirate game. Took us long enough. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Stranded Sails, Explorers of the Cursed Islands. Okay, checklist time. Fishing, yes. Diving, no. Sharks, maybe? I don't think so, though. Pirates, yeah. It's kind of the whole thing. It's themed that way. Sea monsters? I don't think so. Not that I know of. Grog? No. I don't think there's grog. You can make food, but I don't think you can make grog. Scurvy. They probably have scurvy. They're probably scurvy dogs, but not that I'm aware of. Didn't really check off much of this list this time. Okay, so Stranded Sails. I've been talking about a lot of games on Seacember that I liked, that I played for a long time, that I think are really good. Stranded Sails is going to be the one that is harder for me to really, recommend or talk about in any kind of flowery language. But I definitely wanted to do something that was a little bit more piratey themed, and here we are. The basic idea behind Stranded Sails is that you are on a boat that shipwrecks along with a motley crew of other figures on this island, one of a few different islands that you can explore, and the rest of the game is very much in the same fashion of the cozy life sim, where you start to grow crops, collect resources, explore these islands, and, build upgrades to your new civilization that you have built around you. This is a serviceable enough game. You get to explore a few different islands, you go out into the world. There's no requirement that they make of you to worry about day-night cycles, or anything like that, although there is a day and night, but you don't have to go and rest or anything. There's lots of recipes to uncover for food. There's an interesting system in here where, as you find all of your crew members and you bring them back, you start to learn what they actually like. Sometimes you can complete quests for them, but you can also learn the kinds of foods that they enjoy eating. And you can make a big stock pot at your base, and, giving them things that they actually like will allow you to get better heart ratings for everybody. And you can actually turn these hearts that you get by making these big crock pots into upgrades that people will give you. Sometimes there'll be new pathways to get to different areas of the game easier. Sometimes they're going to allow you to expand your food plots, or allow you to have a watering well, for instance. There's a lot of useful things that can expand your repertoire. You go out onto the beaches, you collect various stones and wreckage and cut down trees, and you go to fishing holes and do all of the standard things that you would normally do in games like this, But I think that the thing that really stood out to me more than anything, that I guess I kind of have to talk about, is the stamina system. The fact of the matter is that you can't really do much with your stamina. A lot of things that you do in the game use up stamina very quickly. Your meter decreases very quickly in the game, and you can restore a lot of it using food. This is really the main mechanic in the game, is your stamina. This is pretty much the one meter you have to worry about. You can restore that by eating food. You cook it at your base, and then you can take it out. But the game also limits you to how many of these food items you can have on you at any given time. I don't really understand that, to be honest with you. If I have the ingredients necessary, why couldn't I stack a bunch of the same thing in there? There's only a certain number of slots that you can fill with food items to go out there. And even then, even with really good food items, they don't really restore as much stamina as you would need to do a lot of the things in the game. And when you're going pretty far afield, you want to be able to do a bunch of stuff out there before you have to return. If you have cooked in that big cook pot at base, you can restore all of your stamina very easily there for a limited time until you have to make a new crockpot meal. But there's also a bed that you can sleep in and while away your days in order to restore that as well. So there's a couple ways to do it, but you have to be back at base. And a lot of this game is going to take place with you getting into a rowboat and taking to the open ocean. Now, one thing that they do get to is the idea that you can unlock warp points around the islands. That's good, although you do have to collect fragments of portal pieces in order to warp around from one island to another. So there's a little bit of crafting involved in that. The problem, of course, is that if you are on a distant island and you're trying to get to a portal, sometimes you have to, get through a bunch of brush or wreckage in order to access it. So if you run out of stamina before you do that, you faint and you go back to base. Stranded Sails does not really require you to take any serious losses for fainting. You just get brought back and you get restored to half stamina. And as far as I can tell, you don't really suffer any penalties to it. But it is kind of annoying because I would have just liked to be able to either take more food or enhance my stamina faster. But it's really not that kind of game. It's not the kind of game where you have major upgrades to your system in order to get more stamina. And so this is the main thing that I think about when I think about this game is, you wander around these islands, you collect a bunch of resources. I've done that. I've done that in a ton of games. You get into a cute little rowboat and you go out to other islands. That's neat. You collect a bunch of different characters and then you can have those characters get upgrades, you can talk to them, you can build their houses, and this is one of the main missions in the game. Sure, I get that. But the fact of the matter is that the stamina keeps becoming the main thing that I take away from it, is how fast it goes down, that I use it for everything. If I want to sprint, it takes my stamina down. If I cut down a tree, it takes my stamina down. If I fish, it takes my stamina down. And I want to do all of these things. I want to do that just like you would in a Stardew Valley or a Coral Island, which we talked about earlier in Seacember. What happens with those games is that you usually get pretty vast increases or have the ability to get vast increases to your stamina meter. Stranded Sails does not seem focused on that at all. It mostly seems concerned with you learning how to do better recipes, make better dishes, so you can restore more stamina using that. But if you're going to do that, it would be really cool if I could carry more food items. And the upgrades to that come few and far between. I think the biggest problem with Stranded Sails, and maybe a cautionary tale for games like this, is that I really didn't feel like I was progressing very quickly. It just starts to feel stagnant. The graphics overall are okay. They're serviceable. The characters you interact with, again, are okay. Nothing really standing out about the game. And I think that that's also a problem, is I didn't really get the sense of a specific kind of personality that it lends itself to. It's an island game where you explore an island and do islandy things. I hate to bring up Coral Island again, because I talked a lot about that before, but with Coral Island, yeah, there's tons of characters that you meet, and there's upgrades to have, and there's lots of different stuff to do on your farm. But then there's also these elements about the water goddess and the merfolk and the giants and the town hall that you have to do, the museum. There's lots of different aspects to this, and the majority of what you do that's kind of like tangential to the main missions of the game for Stranded Sails is that you learn how to make dishes and recipes, and then you learn how to make different upgrades that you then talk to the different characters about so that you can obtain those upgrades. And you get some hats. So that's fun. The hats have no actual mechanical value to them. They're just fun hats to put on. There really is no fighting or anything in the game. It really is just about doing the Harvest Moon kind of style aspects of it, and really only that. But without necessarily the rich storylines for the different characters, it's very back to basics. In general, though, not a bad game. I don't want to say that it's a bad game, but it did leave a lot to be desired, and I feel like this is a formula that could be utilized in better ways down the road. Maybe it really is like you're truly a pirate, and not just that it feels like a piratey theme, but there's like skeletons and stuff, and you get a pistol, maybe, and you gotta defeat the skeletons, or maybe there are some actiony elements like that. Stranded Sails doesn't really have that. There's one part, I think, where you have to chase after a monkey. It doesn't have a lot of exciting elements to it, which is amazing for a game that's called Explorers of the Cursed Islands. Wasn't getting a lot of the curse part, folks. Not gonna lie. And who knows? I only played for like 8 hours. Maybe, if I went further in the game, that part would reveal itself. But the fact is that I didn't feel much motivation to play really after 5, and I just kind of kept going to see if there was anything else. The fact is, I really couldn't recommend Stranded Sails. The other games that I've talked about previously, with various qualifiers based on your gaming preferences, I would usually say yes to. But I think the big problem with Stranded Sails is that it's not that it's a bad game, but there's not a lot that's unique or interesting to it to recommend it. It's just sort of there. It's a piratey, islandy themed, cozy game that has far fewer elements to it and far less personality to it than other games of its genre. And there is really the part where it kind of loses me. Alright, are we almost done with Seacember? 2 more? We travel further out to sea, folks. So much further.